I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Vina and Chip and Culpy.
Alright, y'all. This is a song or a series of songs that people have been asking us to do since the first Pantera song we did. We're finally gonna do it!
Yep.
Suicide Note 1. And part 2 will be coming very soon. Hi,
Luna. Hi, Nicholas.
Who?
It's Keld's kids. They watch with him sometimes. He's like, I told them that I was going to say hi to you, so...
Oh. What's up, kids? You guys behaving? Christmas?
Yep.
Yeah. So, Suicide Note Part 1. We're in the world as a village. This is from Roeselare, Belgium. Yeah, so this is the big homie Benoit. He's one of our buddies from literally across the planet. So he's in Belgium.
What time is it?
Small town in Belgium. I have no idea. But anyway, shout out to the big homie. Much love to you, my guy. Keep it moving. Keep it moving, my brother. I think we're sending the big homie a shirt.
Which homie? This one?
Yeah, Benoit. All right. If you want to buy a shirt, you can. There's the little shop thing at the bottom.
When you go in, and I added it to the description now. So from here on out on our videos, it's going to be in the description. If you click that, you'll see like our storefront, and there's like 5 pages. So I think Booby is displayed right now because he was the most recent upload there. But you can click through and check it out.
There's going to be a fashion shirt coming. There's going to be there's a Trees Grow Back.
That's already there.
Trees Grow Back shirt's already there.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff you have to be in Firesides or you have to be an old school head to get it.
Yeah, it's so true.
Like Booby saying, forgive all. Forgive all. All right. Suicide Note, Part 1. Here we go.
If you want to see behind the scenes, check out my Sori life.
If you want to be angry, check out Middle America Vin and Sori. I think we're about to do an epic video that's probably going to make everybody mad at us at the Middle America show. So we're doing some research right now on a topic, but
we shall see.
We shall see.
Go.
at me now? Can you tell I'm a man? With the scars on my wrist to prove I'll try again. Try to die again. Try to live through this night.
Yikes.
Wow.
I'm surprised that it stayed at that level of calm. I was expecting some jum.
Oh yeah, I can see why you would think that it would do that.
Yeah, but jeez, man.
Yeah.
I just got done watching Heads. The documentary is Loud Crazy Love.
Yep.
About his life, and then about his daughter, and trying to go back and forth with
Balancing both.
being a new Christian, being who he was, his daughter, and then his daughter ended up being suicidal like he was, and she tore her arms up.
I know.
And you know, that's a I remember being in the hospital. It was this weird.
Oh, I can't imagine as a parent seeing that.
Yeah. It's very. You don't really realize. My mom used to say, like, "How could you do this to us or to me?" And I used to think she was so selfish because I'm like, here I am, the one that's, you know, about to kill myself, and that goes back to you. Of course, I have no idea if she could have traded places with me, she would have.
Yeah.
You know, you have no idea as a kid when you're, 16 and you're everything's the end of the world.
Yeah.
For you.
God, everything feels so intense at that age.
Everything's on the line all the time.
Yeah.
You know. And
Yeah.
they said in the documentary, it's really good documentary. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to the big homie. But she said, when you're a teenager, everything is like on the line. When you're older, you're like, oh, I've seen this before. And that's so true. But when you're really young and you're like transitioning from child to adulthood, it's everything is on the line.
Yeah.
But I remember being in the hospital with these scars on my wrist to prove I'll try again. And we had this weird, like, value system. So if somebody would come in and it was, they were pill people, we used to call them. It was just pills, and they had no marks or bodily injury. We're like, oh, you're full of it. You're just trying to get attention. And that was like, we were like that with people in the hospital. It's like, if you didn't have anything on your body that proved that you were about it, like you really wanted to kill yourself, we were just like, oh, that girl, she's just going for attention. So that line...
It's not even true, though, but...
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Of course, well, I mean, we were all...
Yeah.
What did we know about it? Everybody's hopped up on their...
Yeah.
Everybody was trying to get balanced or whatever. But the scars on my wrist to prove I'll try again was just... It just brought that back to me. Because it was like... It was just weird. I'm still trying to figure out the logic of that place. Like, you put all these people who... want to die or have these severe mental illnesses, you put them all together for
It doesn't make any sense.
all these hours a day, and they and then you...
Well, I think that it's just economically more practical.
Well, what else are you going to do?
I mean, how can you can't put them on the floor with the babies.
Yeah.
Or with the, you know what I mean? Like, you just... There's nothing else to do but to put them, because it's gonna be a place where they can't get out of.
It's a difficult thing to take care of.
You can't just lock,
It's an extremely difficult thing to take care of somebody that was in the mind state that I was in. Especially as a parent. Because I remember my mom going back and forth from wanting to strangle me to, crying that I was going to die. I remember, she ended up saying stuff that people...
Yeah, it was just, she couldn't control the situation. And
right.
So
you can't...
She was just looking for something.
Right.
Like,
I'll kill you myself.
If I get violent, maybe then he'll...
Yeah,
if I do this...
I'll kill you myself.
Yeah.
And people, if you were on the outside looking in and you've never been through, how could you say that to yourself? But I completely understand now that if I had a me that was doing all that, I would swing between those extremes too, and she... So it's kind of weird. It's like when he's talking, it's kind of like he's talking to his mom, which I don't really think so, but if I was writing the song, it would be
that's
about
what I got from it too. Are you sure there wasn't something in there that...
Well, he says mother's angel getting smarter, and then he says, would you look at me now, can you tell I'm a man?
Yeah,
so he's talking to somebody, but then he talks about mother's angel. So it's kind of like, I took it as a conversation with his mom. Of course, the thing is called Suicide Note. I mean, there's not really... But it's I remember, growing into... I came out of the shower one time, or no, I was training for something, and I was, you know, I was jacked. You know, I was training for something. I came out. I walked in the house, and my mom looked at me, and she basically said, "You're a man," and she,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it just. Whoa, and I think every parent kind of, you know, we're kind of seeing that with Dorian, where it's like, he's got some facial hair, he's getting taller,
Yeah.
you know, like push him around a little bit, and there's some resistance there,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, whoa, my son is turning into a
Yeah.
man, and it's that cool moment as a parent when you realize, whoa, he's a man. So it's like, that line is pretty crazy to me when you look at me now, because can you tell I'm a man? Mm-hmm. Usually when a kid says that, it's kind of looking for that validation that they're growing into a man.
Yeah.
But here it's like, it's kind of, and he talks about regression.
Yeah.
Regress unfulfilled. You know, like you hit that point and you make your parents proud, not for doing anything, but just for getting to manhood. But now he's gone backwards, and now it's like, could you even tell? He's asking his mom, I'm doing it that way. Could you even tell that I'm a man, you know?
Yeah. Well, because he says, "Can you tell I'm a man with these scars on my wrists?"
To prove I'll try again, you know?
Yeah,
So,
but you're getting from that he's saying, like, because I have these scars, does it make it look like I'm not a man? But these are here to prove that I'm going to do this again.
Right, because then there's that whole back and forth of people who kill themselves are weak. Or if you try to kill yourself, you're weak. But then he's looking at it like, hey, I've inflicted pain on myself, so this validates my masculinity. You know, so when people talk about toxic masculinity, yeah, you can shrug it off as SJW bullshit all you want.
Do you think that it...
But there is a sense in which... Go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish. I'll remember.
There is a sense in which it does create certain environments where it's hard to say that you're in trouble. Hard to say that you're in pain. It's hard to say that you can't deal with what's going on in your life because you're supposed to be a dude, you're supposed to be able to handle it, blah, blah, blah. You got a lot of dudes in the military that blow their brains out because they can't ask for help. So people could say whatever they want about toxic masculinity not being a thing.
Yeah.
It's not talking about being a man is toxic. It's talking about the environments and the expectations that get put on men a lot of times. Create situations where if they're in serious trouble, they're not supposed to ask for help. They're supposed to solve it themselves. Well,
right.
If you're in a certain type of situation and you have a certain type of mental illness, and if you have certain type of circumstances that conspire against you, if you don't ask for help, those guys are going to die.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Period.
Right.
So, you know, I get it. I mean, a lot of crazy SJWs use that term, you know, and it's bullshit a lot of the times. But there's a lot of times when it's absolutely true, and if we would actually stop and listen to each other, we might be able to save some people's lives. But can you tell me?
Do you think that there's some some truth to that? Remember we were watching that show one time, and the girl had she'd cut her wrist, and then later on in the show, like, another character was saying that she was a super weak person, and she was like, "No, I'm not. Like, I'm strong." And she grabbed her arm, and she was like, "What about that?" You know? And and it's something that I think about semi often, like, because I always, like, I can't seem to come to a conclusion in my own mind, because when I think of, you know, the things that I know, like, I didn't experience the kinds of things that you experienced in your life, but for me, my experiences were difficult, you know, and like, when I look back to those moments where I was, you know, highly suicidal, and stuff, I always think, sometimes I look at it and I think, God, why was I so weak? Like, why was suicide my option to deal with the situation that I was in, instead of realizing that you can make choices to get out of. Now, I'm not saying that every situation you get out of, like, let's say it was a mental illness or something. That's not what I was dealing with. I was dealing with outside circumstances, but I felt trapped within those circumstances and didn't realize that life does carry on. Like, pain doesn't always hurt forever, you know what I mean? And the people that, you know, inflict pain on you or whatever, you know, you can make choices to not be around that anymore. And but at the time, it didn't feel like there was any other option. Like, So, like, I look back and I think, wow, why was my response so damn weak? But then there's other times where I look at it and I think, like, wow, like, my soul had hit a point where it was so overwhelmed, it was to the point of death. So does that necessitate, or does that mean that I was a weak person? Or does that mean that I actually was a stronger person because I had all those things stacked against me? You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't...
Yeah, I don't think that... I think that anybody who finishes a day in this world is incredibly strong. And I mean that literally.
Yeah, because life is hard for everyone.
Well, yeah, and when you factor in the sinful nature of human beings, and all the things that get done that we do to each other, and the apathy that we have, and the various things that don't work out for some people. There's some people where stuff just never works out for them.
Yeah.
And of course, if you sat them down and said, okay, there's some good stuff happening in your life, sure, there could be. But, so I think, when you got probably the strongest, toughest dude in the Bible is David, special forces guy, yada, yada, yada. And he had a terrible bout with depression and had terrible moments when he said, I want to kill myself, or I want to be dead, and da-da-da. So I don't really look at it like so-and-so is weak. I just think, he's got a line here, he's talking about cocaine and pills taking his pain away, diet of life, shelter without. It's a form of shelter or protection. And, in the Old Testament, there's this constant refrain that God is your refuge, your refuge, your refuge. And it's talking about a shelter. Because you don't need a shelter unless stuff is coming at you. And so I think, drugs, school, relationships, sexuality, pornography, whatever it is, everybody tries to go and use something to shelter themselves because everybody knows intuitively that life is difficult. So, I used to think that, a person, does a job and kills themselves and that they're weak. And then on the other hand, when I was at the hospital, the person actually does finish it and kill themselves, then we would be like, oh, well, they were strong because they really meant it. They weren't just going for attention and yada, yada, yada. All these crazy ways of thinking.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why is crying out for attention bad? Like, nobody ever challenged us on that. Like, nobody ever said, yeah, they're doing it for attention. Why is that bad? You know what I mean? Like, yes, good. Give them the attention. So I think that,
I think the reason that people say stuff like that is because there's some people that it's like a phase of a cry for attention, and then there's some people, and you've been around these people.
Sure.
They're never getting out of that phase. They just, day after day after day, there's a crisis, there's a reason for everybody to come around them and pity them, and they're the victim always. And I think that those people end up tiring out everybody, and then it kind of makes people less likely to, then the ones that are actually like, okay, this is just a phase for that person, and they're in an extreme, like whatever, they're under duress, like they need that attention. You start saying, well, they're all like that.
Yeah, I mean, but if you think about it, that person really didn't get a ton of attention from people.
At first they did.
Not really.
I gave that person a ton of attention at
Sure.
first. And then they burned me out. I'm like, really? Seriously? Every day?
Yeah, you and who else? There wasn't a lot of people crowding around her.
You gave her a lot of attention.
There was no, not initially. There wasn't a lot of people crowding around her. As a matter of fact, every time she'd start talking, everybody would roll their eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everybody made her immediately. And then with the other group that she was with, they were saying that about her too. They were like, oh yeah, you can have her.
That's true.
So people read her pretty quickly.
I didn't. It took me a while.
Yeah, so it wasn't like everybody was around her trying to take care of her and she just burned everybody out. I mean, she kind of put herself at the center stage. She was always the center of attention, and people immediately were annoyed by that all the time. Constantly. It's not like she had a whole bunch of people trying to help her out.
That's interesting.
And so
I think you actually might be right, because now I'm like, wait... I think I was just...
Yeah, I don't know if you remember how the people from the other group were talking about her.
No, that's right. It wasn't positive at all.
Yeah, they were like, great, good riddance. Yeah, even the very, very nice girl that you knew was saying that about her. So, and I get it. There are people that are just starved for attention. But even in that situation, there's something obviously wrong with you. And I don't think it's one specific person's responsibility to save the planet. I just think that, you know, all of us have generally gone through very similar things, but not all of us have gone through those things as the other person. And I think that's what everybody misses. It's like, that's the biggest thing that I miss. It's like, well, yeah, that happened, but that happened to me when I was, well, that was me. I don't know what it's like to be you going through that. And so, and so for, you know, obviously for us, you know, it's God, because it gives you at least an idea that there's somebody that knows what it's like to go through what you're going through as you. But if you don't have that, and, you know, he's got drugs. But a lot of the coping mechanisms that people use to survive this hellscape that we call life, people get judged for. So like we were watching that you know, coke, oh, you're a cokehead, you're a drug head. Or, you know, we were watching that documentary yesterday on pornography and these people that joined that industry. And he had said something, and I said, yeah, but these girls have been sexually abused their entire life. You know, so it set them on a certain type of trajectory, so of course. Then, you know, it was about the AIDS outbreak in 1998. But all these, like, coping mechanisms that people use that are destructive, they generally get judged by society. And society does that because you want to discourage certain types of behaviors, because we all collectively know that if, you know, X% of a society engages in X type of behavior, we're going to implode on ourselves. So then you create systems in which you judge certain behaviors so that you'll always keep the people that indulge in those behaviors at a minimum, so you could protect the whole. There's value to that to some degree, but at the same time it's like, okay, yes, we've taken care of the whole by marginalizing this type of behavior in these people, but what about the actual individual that's taking part in that thing? Okay, like, can we help that person, or you know, so, you know, it was a pretty terrible documentary to watch yesterday. And we've talked about, you know, pornography and how terrible it is to the, you know, what it does to people who watch it, but, you know, also what it is to the people that are inside of it, you know, and the things that they have to go through, and the things that brought them in to choose that profession, you know. So, and Phil, you know, I've...
And the reason why they leave that profession.
Right. It's interesting because I've seen so many people. People talk a lot of shit about Phil Anselmo.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know, drugs, and he used up all of his, you know, wasted his talent, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, what do you know about it? How do you? You don't know what was going on with this guy. Why he was, you know, apparently cocaine. Somebody said that when they were telling me this, he wrote this after an overdose, apparently. You know what I mean? So it's like, we're so quick to just, you know, jump on these people. You know, and it's beyond just like, don't judge people. It's like, well, it just so happens that your particular coping mechanism society hasn't decided to marginalize you for. But everybody has a coping mechanism. I don't care who you are. You know, and that's why I kind of smile to myself when people say, God's just your crutch. I go, yes, absolutely. I got broken legs. What's yours? Like, seriously. This is complete lack of self-awareness. Meanwhile, they're, you know, ingesting, you know, 9 hours of computer time a night, you know. But they're mocking you for having God as your crutch. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yikes.
So this is part one. I thought the instrumentation was it matched where he was trying to go. I was just very, very surprised that it
didn't get heavy.
It didn't get heavy.
I thought it was beautifully deep. Had a sorrowful sound to it, but I appreciated it. I really appreciated the song. I really liked it.
I've been avoiding this song for quite some time.
Yes, you have.
But I think he did a good job with it. Yeah. All right, so part 2's on the way. Let's just judge the ratings at the end of part 2.
Okay.
Part 2's coming. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.